and welcome to This Is Your Show. In case you were wondering, it's one of our Christmas editions as we continue preparing for the festival season that lies very rapidly ahead. Our first guest today is Ellie MacArthur. Welcome, Ellie. And Ellie is from MacArthur Tree Farms. And it's thanks to the MacArthur Tree Farms that we have the gorgeous trees that have been on our set the last few shows. Where did these trees come from, Ellie?
They are grown in the regional municipality of Waterloo on 4 of our plantations that we have. We not only grow trees, but we also have our own retail sales lot in Cambridge.
How long does it take? These are gorgeous trees, they're perfectly shaped. How long does it take to get a tree to grow into one of the Christmas trees that we see here in front of us?
Well, the Scotch pine are grown in about 7 to 10 years, typically. The spruce, they will take a little bit longer. And the white pine that you see here is a smaller one of our white pines.
And that's the one at the furthest corner?
At the back there, yes. We have them up to 16 feet tall. They were planted in 1981.
So obviously what happens is when you cut one down, you have to replant in order to have trees?
Yes, it's a continuous cycle. For every tree that we harvest, we have probably planted 3. In some cases, the survival rate is not too good in a particular area. We keep replanting the area. During that tree's life, too, it also provides a lot of wildlife homes for the birds and the animals. It provides oxygen. It maintains the soil. It purifies our water. It has a lot of benefits while they're growing.
So for the people who are concerned about the environment, every time one is chopped down, at least 3 are planted, 1 to 3 are planted in its place.
That's correct.
And while it's growing, it does provide all those benefits. So trees, I guess the thing when people are concerned about is that we're taking away from the environment, but you're putting back in, and they're grown for that specific purpose.
Yes, they provide oxygen. 1 acre of trees will provide oxygen for 18 people for 1 year. And that's very important.
There's going to be some video footage that's going to be inserted at home, and people will be able to see. What's the process? Let's start from the planting, and let's go right through to when it reaches the tree lot.
Okay, it really doesn't start with the planting. It starts with the site preparation. We have to prepare the site for the new seedlings, which are quite small. And we do plant in rows. It is a plantation. We do plant in rows. And the trees are cultivated during their lifetime also. It makes it very easy to maintain the tree farm. They're planted in the spring. Typically we have a better survival rate in the spring. And that tree for its first 3 years gets mowed during the summer to keep the weeds away so we get good growth. When it's 3 years old, we must begin our pruning process. And a tree is pruned every year. You cannot miss a year. Scotch pine is in the hot summer months. Spruce can be done in cooler weather, which is better for our workers. And we keep pruning to encourage a bushier tree. Consumers demand a premium tree these days.
And the perfect shape.
Yes, and we're able to do that through the pruning process.
How many trees do you have altogether on these lots where they're growing that you would have to do this to?
Well, we have 4 plantations. We plant about 2,000 a year. So typically we would have quite a few thousand in the ground. Yes, in the ground at all times. So because the process is a continuous process, that's a very difficult question to answer, but we plant at least 2,000 a year.
Okay, so once you've pruned in that and the years progress and 8, 10 years down the road, then what happens?
Then we go through and we mark our trees for market. They are tagged. The process is the tree is cut down. It is then shaken. Scotch pine typically loses 1/3 of its needles every year. They get trapped inside the tree. People think when they see those brown needles that the tree is not fresh. That is not the case.
So by shaking, does that mean that somebody stands there and bangs them up and down, or what happens?
Actually, we have a machine these days for doing that. This machine, we place it on the machine, which vibrates the tree, shakes the old needles, and leaves also from the trees in the perimeter of the farm.
I thought that would be fun to be the shaker. Take out all your frustrations.
Oh, well, if you wish to do that, you may come and see us.
I'll come out to the farm. So they're shaken, and then what happens?
Then a baler comes along and bales the tree for transportation.
Is that
purposes.
how they wrap them in like a mesh or something, or
Actually,
roping?
they can be a mesh. Our particular baler does it with a twine. It's a twine that goes around the tree. And that way we can transport more at a time. It also helps keep the tree fresh until we place it on the sales lot.
Do you take the twine off once it's on the lot?
Yes, we actually usually take the twine off and shake the tree one more time, just to make sure there's no dead needles inside.
The one last thing that I find really interesting is when it's on the lot, you have a method of drilling into the trunk and putting on this stand that the people can buy so that the tree will stand perfectly straight, and it has saved a lot of marriages, I understand.
It definitely has, and we call it a no-fuss stand straight tree stand. Scotch pine tends to grow a bit crooked, as you probably have discovered trying to stand a tree up in your living room.
I have problems with artificial ones, never mind real ones.
We have a jig that we place the tree in. We drill the bottom of the tree. The tree stand has a pin in the bottom of it, and it's just a matter of putting that tree stand on the bottom of the tree, standing it up and decorating it. And gentlemen,
and that was so easy
that.
when they were doing the ones here the other night, and that's what we really, just out of curiosity, this year, what do you think the price range for Christmas trees is going to be? Because there's probably people sitting at home and saying that it's been really prohibited. The last few years, some trees have been really expensive, and that's what made people go to artificial ones.
Yes, the price is always a concern, and it's a very big concern to us as growers. We typically find that the premium tree will always bring a premium dollar, and that's what the market we're really after, is producing a premium tree. They range from $15 and up, and that's the price range that we think we're going to see again this year.
$15 and up. Ellie, I thank you for being our guest. Thank you very much to you and your husband Dave for the wonderful trees that have been here for our Christmas season. If people are interested in more, they can visit the MacArthur Christmas Tree Farm in Cambridge or one of their lots and get the Christmas Tree Folklore and Farming pamphlet, which I read and is very interesting, and I'll just open it up. It tells the history of the Christmas tree, which for those of you who are interested, the Christmas tree came to Quebec in 1781. I remember it. And it was brought by Baron somebody or other, Baron Frederick von Riedesel, and he brought it. And then in 1790, it finally came to Ontario. I brought it back myself. Anyways, there's the inside of the brochure. This is some members of my family decorating our tree at home, and I just thought I'd pass that on to you. It's a really interesting pamphlet, and I encourage you to pick it up. And there's also an environmental benefits sheet that's available for those of you who are interested. Thanks again, Ellie, and thank you again for the trees. We will be right back after this brief break with our next guest, Alwyn Burridge. We'll be back.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. See, wasn't that easy?
That was easy.
Energy and You. Hints on using energy more wisely. Replace old incandescent bulbs with modern fluorescent bulbs. They use 70% less energy and last 10 times longer. A suggestion from the Ontario Ministry of Energy.
And welcome back to This Is Your Show. And our next guest, as we continue with the Christmas theme, in case you were confused and you heard the bells in the background, it isn't an Avon show, okay? Welcome, Alwyn Burridge. Alwyn, you'll remember from back in the spring, Alwyn was here and we did our bridal show. And she's from Flowers by Alwyn. And for the rest of today's show, we're going to talk about
Christmas and how
decorations,
to bring the Christmas holidays home.
Okay, where would you like to start? What would you like to talk about?
Okay, well, we were talking just before we opened the show about the sights, the sounds, and the scents of Christmas. I've got a couple of ideas how we can bring the beautiful aromas of Christmas into our homes, because unfortunately a lot of us have artificial trees.
That's right.
And we miss that nice
You
spicy.
notice it when you walk in the studio,
Oh, yes.
when the door has been closed, and when you walk in, you can certainly smell the pine and the spruce
Exactly.
and all the other tree smells. And poinsettias don't have a smell.
No, not at all.
They
But
have a wicked taste.
But remember when people used to make gingerbread and their own Christmas cakes and things like that? You'd walk into the house and everything was so sweet and spicy.
Smelled really nice.
Well, we've done a little bit of that to bring it home to you. This is a potpourri basket, and what it is an open grapevine basket, and we put spicy pomander balls in them. And there's orange and cloves and other cinnamon spices in there, and it just has a beautiful scent and flavor to it,
Now,
doesn't
people
it?
could do these themselves,
Oh, of
couldn't they?
course.
Just sit around their house?
Sure, it's a great thing for little kids
So
to
all
do.
it is an orange or a
Yes.
lemon or an apple
or
or
a
something.
tangerine.
Or a tangerine.
That's right. And you put the whole clove nut in.
So you
and
just
then
insert it.
let them dry for 24 hours and then wrap them, and they last a long time.
So they'd last the whole Christmas season.
Oh, longer.
So I see you've got some ribbon in that. So that's just an extra, or do you have to do that?
Oh, that's
You should
just
put
to
them
make
in
them
something,
pretty.
though,
Yeah, to hold
You
the
can hang
clothes
those
in.
on your Christmas tree.
Sure could.
So that's a
Sure
simple
could.
project for children
Oh yeah,
over the Christmas
they'd love
holidays.
that. And we have a lot of potpourri. This is a pretty little basket that has flower petals, and flowers do have nice scents, but not all flowers smell terrific. Did you know that?
No, which ones don't?
Nerine lilies, they smell like sweat socks.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, just give that a little whiff. That's
Ooh, isn't that
all
pretty?
flower petals in there. And if the scent deteriorates after a little while, just give it a little spritz with a mister, and the scent comes right back.
All right, so you just give it a little bit of a water mist
Yeah.
and it'll bring it back? I didn't know
Right.
that. Do you know what I've tried? And I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Have you ever tried spraying cologne or perfume on a hot light bulb?
No, but I imagine
Well,
it has
it's
quite
quite
an effect.
interesting. I don't know if you're supposed to spray it on before you turn the bulb on or after, but I've tried it both ways, and it does give quite a nice aroma if the bulb doesn't explode. Yeah, it's quite interesting. I've tried it, believe me. Anybody that knows me will know that I have done that. Okay, carry on.
This is a sample mantelpiece. And now a lot of people have fireplaces in their living room, and when you have a nice log fire going, that's a focal point of your room. And so it's nice to have a mantle arrangement on there. We have 3 votive candles in this one, and a little hint for those people who like to burn votive candles like this: put a couple tablespoons of water in the bottom of the votives. It makes cleaning them a lot easier.
The wax will come out.
Yeah. Now the votives that we sell at Flowers by Alwyn burn for 10 hours. So you don't have to be afraid to light them early in the evening, because they'll still be burning before you're, by the time your guests
Are
decide to
people
leave.
going back to fresh, or are they still sticking with artificial?
Well, the people who are budget-minded are sticking with the artificial, because this is something that they can reuse year after year.
The one thing at our house, we have a lot of stuff, and the thing is the storage. It's great when it's out during the month of December, but what do you do with it on January 5th or whatever? Like, you've got all these boxes, so your garage or under your stairs is something, at least with real things, sort of pitch it, except for poinsettias, they live forever. And you just don't know where to store the stuff, so you really have to have a storage space, but the real stuff you can get rid of a little easier.
Now these can be removed. I'm not going to take them out now because there's melted wax in them, but they can be removed so it can be stored a little bit easier too.
How long do real arrangements like this last in a house? Like, if you're going to use real greens or real garlands, how far before Christmas can you put them up?
Oh, 2 weeks easily if you promise to water them every day. Now
But
you
how
might
do you
have
water
to.
a garland?
Oh, garland? Nuh-uh. You're only allowed to put that one up about 7 days ahead of time.
Okay,
if it's
because
indoors.
I've gone into people's houses and they're dropping on you and there's prickly things in your hair, and
Because there's no water source and they dry out. Just
so these ones need, if it was real, would need to be watered or misted
every
or something.
day, yes,
Okay.
because greens are very thirsty little things. Now I've got a beautiful fresh wreath behind you, if you could bring that up,
Okay.
to show people what interesting things you can do.
Well, thank you for
with
the
a
lovely
wreath.
corsage, all. When that, how do you wear it? Oh, isn't this nice? Hello.
Now that's made out of white pine, and I would suggest this for indoor use for about 7 to 10 days before Christmas, or if you intend to put it outside on your front door, the front of the house, you're welcome to start putting them out at the beginning of December, because the cold, damp conditions of our December climate are fine. Okay?
So this one would last outside for almost the whole month of December,
Oh,
probably.
yes, easily.
What kind of,
This is all white pine.
So it's like our tree in the
Yeah,
back corner.
smells good, doesn't
And how
it?
do people wire? Are these glued in or are they wired in?
A little bit of both. Depends on how the whole wreath is constructed. And it's on a wire frame, so that it's quite easy to handle.
How much are greens to buy at Christmas time?
It
Like, are they
depends on the
expensive?
variety. If we have noble fir, which is a wonderful evergreen from British Columbia, it smells like tangerines. It's wonderful to work with. It's very expensive, but the white pine and Scotch pine and so on are a little less expensive.
That's gorgeous. I'll set that over here so I can take it
You
home
can just
later.
go. You put it against that if you like. Now, we were talking about people watching their pennies.
Good place for it.
We're finding that people are buying.
He won the
permanent-
Kentucky Derby.
People are buying permanent decorations if they can use them for more than one time. Oh,
I want to
got
bring
one.
this one.
Okay, one
I
more
wanted
first.
to see this one. I want to bring it over here so people can see it. Okay, and then we'll do yours.
This one's pure fun. Kids love this sort of stuff.
Yeah, this is a neat
Yeah.
little one for.
Yeah, it's a mailbox, and it's got 2 presents in it and 2 little doves standing guard waiting for the postman to bring some more stuff. And this is weighted in cement.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I got a hernia lugging it over.
So we have some customers who like to have these as a doorstop.
What's their door made out of? Steel?
Or it can be used, of course, in your front entrance on a little entranceway table or something.
So people could come in, if they had a theme or something at home they wanted made Christmassy, they can bring it into the flower shop and have it
course.
done.
Sure. That's the best part of working in my
That's so
industry.
pretty.
Yeah. We encourage people to come in with ideas. It makes our life more interesting.
What color schemes are in this Christmas? Do you remember a couple years ago we were in the black and whites? Do you remember people were going out, not as much here, but I know in Toronto, people were going out and buying black trees and doing white ornaments and silver ornaments and white lights on them. It was very vogue, and I'm not sure if that's still in or not, is it?
To a lesser extent, people are tending to decorate with their decorator colors. If you can just bring that basket and wreath out.
Okay.
The permanent arrangements tend to be more expensive than their fresh counterparts.
Excuse me while I grunt and groan as I come back up.
But people find that if they can use it for a little bit longer than just the Christmas season, that they can justify the expense.
Are the pinks in that back in?
Oh yes, yeah. Because
Haven't we gone back to more of the red and greens this year? We talked about that. Have people not gone back to the old-fashioned sort of...
well, they're going into decorator colors. They're not into black and white and sharp silver, and they're not doing a lot of stuff with sparkle this year. We're going back to things that
They're
are
still cleaning it up out of the rugs from last Christmas, that's why.
to the comfort colors, the old-fashioned things, the things that we remember as children. Okay.
So that's pretty. So that would be really nice in a foyer or a hallway.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it picks
There's
up the
the
sparkle. Now this is some of the Baroque styling that's very in vogue this year.
Baroque and Victorian.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm running out of people to hang these on. Put that over. Okay.
Now,
Sorry. We're bobbing up and down. It reminds me of the Muppet Show. Remember when they were in the ballroom scene?
oh, we have treasures under this counter, don't we? Okay, talking about the Victorian era.
And we're not wearing pants underneath this counter either. Yes, we are. Forget it. Carry on.
Okay. If you want to bring a musical theme into the house, this has got a violin.
I was thinking that would look
pretty?
really nice over a piano or something in a living room or a dining room.
Yeah, it would be.
And that's very Victorian. The little fans are very Victorian, and the lace bows.
And lots of baby's breath and a little bit of sparkle.
Why, you were telling me earlier, and I want you to tell the people at home, why are people going back to these trends? Like we went from that really, every year people were going with different color schemes and black and whites, and all of a sudden we're going back to what was in years and years ago, reds and greens and frillies and laces. And
That has to do with comfort, with it being something that we remember back from our childhood times when we want things that remind us of when times were better and more secure. So this is a little example of some of the fun things you can do with Christmas colors. Now this has natural tones in it with orange persimmons and copper tones, and this of course is pretty glitzy with gold and red and green. These are the old-fashioned things that are still very popular.
If you want it, what's the cheapest, so if you don't have a lot of money to work with this Christmas, and a lot of people are going to find themselves having to cut corners, what's the most inexpensive Christmas decorations that we can do at home?
Okay, garlanding.
Besides stealing a tree from Airedale Golf Course. Don't do it.
No, garlanding, and you can make your own ornaments using little sprigs of baby's breath and fancy ribbons.
The oranges with the cloves.
Oh yes, there's lots
some
of
ribbon and doing little
fun
bows.
things you can do. Yeah,
because and stringing popcorn. People got away from stringing popcorn, probably because they ate more than they strung. But we've got here, I'll put this one over here then.
Okay, this is a wreath that has a European influence. It almost has a Dutch Flemish effect, and it has apples and persimmons and so on, and I've picked up all the colors and the fruits that are in the ribbon to bring that. You could just
that could be
hold
used
that.
at other times of the year too.
Of course, that's what I'm trying to explain to you about people
so that
making
it's just not a Christmas decoration, but
yes.
it can be used. Oh, there's something off of our tree.
This is an arrangement that would be pretty from harvest time right through the winter. Okay, it is a companion to that wreath.
I just knocked something down over there. We'll get it later. The maids come in once a day.
Again, we've got that same ribbon with the fruit. And it's kind of nice if you have more than one item that is related in a room, so you have a
So it's not a
theme.
smidge here and a smidge there.
Exactly, exactly.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
What else have we got underneath the table?
Oh, I've got something very pretty. I'll let you do the honors.
Light your cigarette? Light your cigarette?
Now, if you want something...
You're not wearing hairspray, are you? Because I was responsible for Michael Jackson's accident.
If you want something to really...
I don't think
give
you'll
you
ever get
impact.
over it. Oh, you want me to light these?
If you want
Happy
some real
birthday.
impact for your Christmas party, putting this on a coffee table, and it's attractive all the way around, is interesting, far more interesting than just a simple little table centerpiece that's low and flat, right?
This is neat.
Yeah,
So this could actually have real roses in it.
of course it can. We do a lot of these in fresh flowers too. But these are very high quality artificial material. And
The neat thing is you have a base with those votives in it. You could actually change it if it was fresh
sure
throughout
could.
the course of the different seasons, so that you'd have a different arrangement on your table.
now we do a lot of fresh arrangements like this and bring them to people around the first week of December, and we encourage them to pick up a few carnations or so on every
just
10
green,
days
sir.
or so, and just replace them in the same places where they came out. Because the greens
Is
will
this meant
last
for a
weeks.
dining room table?
Or a coffee table, because it's pretty even looking down on it if it was a low coffee table.
What's the rule for dining room table centerpieces? Is there a certain, there used to be a height limit so that you could see the person across from you in case they were well, unless they were a dog, then you wanted a high centerpiece. But there is a limit, isn't there, on the height that...
Unless it's light and airy and you can see right through. What we're concerned about for decorations for tables is the amount of table space that we have available. Because once there are plates either side, it cuts down the amount of surface
I've been at some
area that we
people's
have.
dinner tables, and I didn't know where we were supposed to eat. Like, there was so much stuff, I almost went to the other room.
What we would suggest in something like this is to have an arrangement in the living room on the coffee table like this, and then have smaller companion pieces interspersed down the length of the dining room table. That
So
would
they're not
only
all
have,
big ones.
Exactly. And you could have little pieces of potpourri or gold tinsel or gold baubles, just sort of scattered along
In
the
brandy
table.
snifters, just putting some little ornaments in, that's
right.
an easy one.
And having fresh greens in small arrangements with a little votive spaced here and there on your table.
Briefly,
And everybody gets to see it, not just the people who are sitting either side.
briefly, can we talk about the wreath that's at
Okay.
the rear?
No
Just
problem.
before we go. I know everyone's heard it throughout the course of today, and it's really nice. It's played 25 different carols. What is it?
Okay, it's a large wreath. It's built on a wire frame, so it's very durable. And it does play, like you said, 25 different carols. And we make them in the store. In fact, you'll see one at VersaCare. They've had theirs for a couple of years now. And whenever they bring it out, the residents there really, really
Could that be
enjoy it.
hung outside, or would it, or the bells, I guess, couldn't play outside, could they?
We wouldn't suggest that it be in a high weather area where it would get rain and snow and sleet.
Because I know those bells are fairly expensive. If you go to buy them in any store, they're fairly expensive. I just realized we forgot one.
Oh, this one's
centerpiece.
cute. I didn't want to miss this one.
And we'll just do this one quickly before I have to close.
Okay. Now, for those gentlemen in the audience who are going to be giving their special someone a gift of jewelry for Christmas, bring the gift, the ring or the locket or bracelet or whatever, into our shop, and we'll include it as part of an arrangement. Now, I'm not sure if the camera can get in close enough to see, but there's two little cherubs there, and there's one little cherub on the bottom, right here, who's holding a ring. And so these little cherubs would be presenting the gift to the person.
And the cherubs do have names. This is Peggy and Mark. And Mark, of course, is the one holding the jewelry, because that's what I would like. Anyways, I would like to thank you, Alwyn, for coming and sharing some Christmas decorating ideas that are inexpensive and to the other extreme for this Christmas season. So thank you, Alwyn Burge from Flowers by Alwyn. Please come back again. Thank you to Ellie MacArthur, MacArthur's Tree Farms, for talking about the process of Christmas trees, because it certainly is an interesting process. And I think we also learned that it doesn't harm the environment as a lot of people thought it would. Thank you for joining us. This is your show, and I leave you not with my thought for the week, but rather a Christmas poem. Count your garden by the flowers, never by the leaves that fall. Count your joys by golden dreams, never when life's worries call. Count your nights by stars, not shadows. Count your days by smiles, not tears. And on every Christmas morning, count your age by friends, not years. I'm Mark Stenabaugh. We'll see you next week. Have a good night. Bye-bye.